This portion is focusing on head shapes. And everyone's head shape is shaped a little bit different, and I'm going to introduce two different ways that you guys can think about this when you're trying to draw somebody's head. The first one is making a shape. So for example, here we got Brad Pitt, and I'm going to create a rectangle that fits his head precisely. So I'm drawing a line from the bottom of the chin, drawing a line for the top of the head, and I'm drawing a vertical line that fits exactly to the sides, of his head. And right here, it kind of fits to the side of the top head and the jawline. So I'm starting off with a rectangle, like so. Here's my made-up rectangle for the top of his head. After that, what I'm going to do is trim off the corners of the rectangle. So like I can trim off this corner right here, and this corner right here. And now I'm looking at the jawline. So he's got a very squarish jawline right here. What is the angle of his jaw from here? Angle of his jaw from here. And his jaw also kind of comes in just a little bit and then widens out again. And anyways, now we have roughly his head shape. And just like the eyes we talked about, when you have something curvy, you want to think about it as a series of straight lines. This applies to the head shape as well. And what I can do now is, now that I got those angles in, now I can take the time to try to round it out with my pencil, erase all those lines that I really didn't need in the, for the overall final project. And then once I get that in, I can divide this in half. We're going to be practicing again all of those measurements of the body. Eyes are halfway. You should make 5 equal spaces for the eyes across. And I can make 5 equal spaces or divide into thirds. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lost count there. So I can come in, look at his eye shape. We've been practicing eyes, thinking of it as a series of straight lines instead of curves. Looking at his eyebrow shape. Bottom of his nose is right here. Your nose is as wide as an eye. And then the mouth, the corners of the mouth line up to the pupils of the eye. Let's see, I'm going to erase all of these marks that I have now. There we go. And I can then focus on the hairline. Here is where Brad Pitt's hairline starts. And I think I need to widen this just a hair. And color that in however I want. It kind of comes in and out. Your neck is about as wide as the outside of the eyes if you're trying to figure out how wide the neck is. And I can spend as much time as I want on this. Here his shoulders come in, his collar of his shirt, etc. So that's one way to approach it, starting with the head off with the square. The other way, which is my favorite how to do it, is think of the head as 2 overlapping circles. So for example, if I'm drawing this individual, I'm going to think of a circle for the top part of the head, which represents the cranium of the skull. And then I think of another circle that represents the jaw area of the skull. Usually, not always, but usually where those circles meet and cross, that already marks half. But you always want to double check. So once I get this done, then I look at the jawline and I see what kind of shape the individual's jaw is. So once again, a series of straight lines is going to be a curve. The jaw comes up this way. Now this person's hair has a little bit more volume than the other individual that we drew. So sometimes if you have hair with volume, you have to kind of guess where the top of the head is. Like this dude right over here on the bottom, the top of his head is not up here. His skull, I'm going to guess, is about right there. So this individual, back to this guy, I'm going to guess his skull is probably about right there. Maybe I can draw in where the hair is going to be, roughly. Okay, and once I get that down, again, I can, let's see, measure, make sure that's exactly half. 5 equal spaces across the face. I'm going to do thirds for the bottom of the nose instead of dividing into fifths. So we know how wide his nose is. Looking at the shape of this guy's eyes, what do they look like? How can I turn him into straight lines instead of curves? I'm going to erase some of these excessive lines now that I don't need. Here's this gentleman's eyebrows. Let's see. And the nose, I'm going to break up into 3 little small circles. Think about that wet noodle that goes across those nose. And if I want, I can shade it a little bit. Where do I see shadows in his face? Where do I see those planes of the nose? Mouth is as wide as the pupils of the eyes. Draw some circles for the top lip. Here's for the bottom lip. Let's see. Something feels slightly off on here. I feel like the chin is too low. So either I think I made the lips a little too large. And I'll probably have to come in and double check proportions. Or maybe I goofed up on the center of the eyes, which is probably what happened. We're going to double check here. Let's see. Yeah, I think I made the eyes a little bit too low. This is why you measure. Measure twice, cut once. Because his chin should be just a little bit lower. Making alterations, and that's okay. His ears, bottom of the ears lining up to the bottom of the nose. And we can't quite see the top of his ears. It looks like his hair is kind of hiding it, but I'm going to guess they kind of end right there. Here's his hairline, etc. And just remember the neck is as wide as the outside of the eyes. So method 2, 2 overlapping circles. Do whatever that works best for you. There's more than one way to do something. There's not just one way. And I have 6 different kinds of faces that you guys can practice on with this demo.